All right, so we're going to talk today about order of operations, specifically what it is, why we need it, and how to use it. Okay, so what it is, order of operations tells us the order of which we need to do operations. So what it is very clearly in the actual term. So what I normally tell students is think of a science experiment. We normally use the metric system when we are doing science experiments because that's what the rest of the world uses. So if there's a fifth grader in France who is doing a experiment and they're using milliliters for their experiment, and you as a fifth grader here in the United States want to also do an experiment, the same experiment, and you want to see if you get the same results, you also need to be doing that experiment measuring within milliliters. If you're measuring in a customary unit, like let's say you're measuring in fluid ounces, well, you're going to get completely different results than the fifth grader in France did. And the whole idea of doing science experiments is to see if you can replicate, which means to make the same, what that kid in France did. And so in science, it's very important that we are all using the same unit of measurement when we do science experiments. That's kind of the same thing, same concept for order of operations. We need to have an order that everyone follows so that we're all getting the correct answer. We're getting the same answer. Okay, I don't want to throw up a string of operations and have everybody in the class get a different answer. So that's the why we need order of operations. So now the what. Well, the what is what we call PEMDAS. Okay, that is our acronym for how we remember the steps, the order in which they go. Okay, so P always stands for parentheses. Okay, that also includes if you see brackets or braces. Those mean the same thing as parentheses. I didn't spell that correctly. There we go. Okay, and that means that it doesn't matter what operation is in parentheses, brackets, or braces, it always, 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 always comes first because it's the P in PEMDAS. The next thing we look at after we've done all of our parentheses, brackets, and braces is we look at exponents. Well, exponents is actually not something we do in fifth grade. This is only for sixth grade. Okay, and so I don't teach you exponents. However, when I'm talking about PEMDAS, I always tell you what that E is, and then when you tell me, you'll tell me that E stands for exponents. Because then that way, when you go to sixth grade and you're doing order of operations there, it's not something that you have to just throw in. You'll already know that that's where it goes, that's the order in which it goes. Okay? So then we have M and D. M stands for multiplication and D stands for division. Notice I'm putting these in the same color. That's for a very specific reason. I always look and see if I have multiplication and division. I look for them both at the same time. If I have them both at the same time, I go from left to right. So let me give you an example. Let's say I have this problem. I have both multiplication and division. That means that I'm going to go left to right. So I'm going to do 3 times 2 first because it's on the left side. And then whatever that answer is, I divide by 2 because it's on the right side. Okay, but watch what happens here. Okay, let's say I have this problem. Again, I have multiplication and division. This time, division is on the left and multiplication is on the right. So I go left to right. Okay, if I have both, it's always left to right. Some students think that multiplication always comes before division because M is before D in PEMDAS, but that's not the case. We look at them both together at the same time. Okay, and then the same thing for A and S. A stands for addition and S is subtraction. We also look at addition and subtraction at the same time. We go from left to right. So let's say I have, okay, if I have this expression, well, I know since division comes before this that I actually would have to do this first, right? Well, 24 divided by 1 is 24. But then I still have these two, okay? I now have addition and multiplication. And I just realized I did that wrong. So ignore what I just said because I'm trying to show you just addition and subtraction. So let me back up. All right, let's say I have 24 plus 3 minus 7. I'm again looking for both of them and I go from left to right. So in this case, addition is first because it's on the left. Then I subtract. But if it's this way, subtraction is first and addition is last because I go from left to right. So I want you to think about that for a minute. If I do this, 24 plus 3 is 27, minus 7 is 20. Over here, 24 minus 7 is 17, plus 4 is 21. Okay, but if I do this in the wrong order, well, then I would be doing, well, if I do it with the A first and then the S, then yes, this would work out. But over here, think about this. It wouldn't work out because if I did addition first, 7 plus 4 is 11 plus 24. Well, that would be 35, and that is not the correct answer. Okay, so sure, sometimes saying, oh, well, the A is first, so I'm going to do that first. Sometimes that works, but that's only because the addition just happens to be on the left here. But you can't always follow that because if you always follow that, then look, you get this answer wrong. Okay, so same thing up here. You're not going to get the same answer if you are always doing multiplication first. You go from left to right. So really, this is the most tricky part of order of operations. It's just making sure that we're going from left to right for multiplication and division and left to right for addition and subtraction. Okay, so I'm going to erase all of this and we're going to do a couple of problems together so that you can see how this works. We're going to use PEMDAS. Okay, so let's first do 6 plus 27 divided by 3. All right, so if I don't use order of operations and I do 6 plus 27, well, I know that's 33, and 33 divided by 3 is 11. Okay, this is without the order of operations. But I want us to use the order of operations to get the correct answer. Okay, so over here, I'm looking to see, do I have parentheses? Well, nope, there's no parentheses on this problem. And there's no exponents because exponents are 6th grade. So next I look and see, do I have multiplication and division? Well, the answer to that would be no. Do I have one of them? Yes, I have division. So I need to do the division first. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And then I rewrite whatever I haven't used yet. And now there's only one operation left, so that's the one I do. 6 plus 9 is 15. The correct answer is 15. But if I did not use PEMDAS for my order of operations, I would have gotten this answer, and that would be wrong. Okay, so that's why we must use PEMDAS. Because if I give everybody in the class this problem to do, you should all come up with 15. If you're coming up with other answers because you're not using the order of operations, then that's wrong. So let's go ahead and do another one. 5 times 2 plus 12 divided by 6. All right, so I have 3 operations this time. So I always ask myself, do I have parentheses? Well, I don't see any parentheses in this question. And exponents are in 6th grade. So my next question is, do I have multiplication or division? I do. I have both. So remember, I want to go from left to right. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 first because it's on the left side. Not because multiplication comes first. It's because it's on the left side. So I'm going to do my 5 times 2, which is 10. And then I rewrite everything I did not use yet. Okay, see how that 5 times 2 is now 10? So now I did the multiplication, and now I need to do the division because I do multiplication and division together. So I do 12 divided by 6. Well, 12 divided by 6 is 2. Then I rewrite everything I have not used yet. And now I only have one operation left. So 10 plus 2 is 12. So my answer is 12. Now, if I had not done order of operations and I just did from left to right, that would have given me 10 plus 12, which is 22, and then I would have to divide by 6. Well, 22 divided by 6 is going to give me a decimal, okay? A big tip for you guys for this year when we're dealing with order of operations, if you're coming up with a decimal, it's probably wrong. Okay. Next year in 6th grade, you will be doing decimals and fractions within order of operations, but since this is the first time that you're seeing order of operations, you probably should not have any answers that would be like this, that would be, a remainder of any sort. Okay, so that could be a clue that you use to see whether that answer is reasonable or not. All right, let's do one last one together, and then we'll do some all together. All right. 17 minus 4 plus 3. So this one we have parentheses. So we need to do whatever's in the parentheses first. It does not matter what operation it is. If it's in parentheses, that is our clue that it must come first. So 4 plus 3 is 7. And then I write everything I haven't used. Well, this one is not very hard, is it? Because if I know to do what's in parentheses first, then I'm going to come up with just one more thing to do, right? 17 minus 7 is 10. Now, if I had ignored the parentheses and I just went left to right, well, 17 minus 4 is 13, plus 3 is 16. Look at that. That is not 10. That is not what we want, okay? So we have to follow the order of operations. Now you're going to practice some of these with Mrs. Higbee.